Want to watch it again, we'll have it recorded, so you'll have the opportunity to kind of go through all this information again. So, and I know we do have a few people that were on the Special Smiles screening this morning. So thank you again for hopping back on for the Healthy Hearing. If you didn't do the Special Smiles this morning, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Appreciate you guys joining as we kind of try this new virtual screening. This is something we've never done in the past, so excited to kind of see how it goes. Would love your feedback afterwards. You know, what you like, what you didn't like, what worked well, what didn't. I already have some things that worked well this morning and did not work as well this morning that we'll have to fix in the future. But again, excited for this one. This is our Healthy Hearing screening. So a little bit about this screening. It's going to be kind of a hybrid of what our in-person screening would kind of look like, with some new wrinkles in there. It'll be part educational, so we'll have the opportunity to have some U of M audiology students present some healthy hearing education. We will together take a little self-assessment, and it's really designed to help you have a better understanding of your hearing health, and then help our clinical directors have a better understanding of, you know, what are some of the needs that you have in regards to your hearing, and then if there are any urgent needs, to make sure that we can follow up with you afterwards and help make sure you get the care that you need. So there'll be a quick little poll. It's not as long as the one that was on this morning, but we'll go through that together. Once we get there, I'll give you some more information. But we will also have the opportunity to ask some questions for our clinical directors and some of the U of M students. So if you have any specific or general hearing questions, we'll save that at the end. But as we go along, if you have questions or anything like that, you can enter it in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat as we go along, so I'll keep track of that as we go about that. So. Before we get too far, I think we need to do some quick introductions. So again, my name is Jeff Prendergast. I am one of the health programs coordinator for Special Olympics Minnesota. I primarily oversee the healthy athlete screenings. So if you've ever gone through the healthy athlete screenings, whether it's Healthy Hearing, Special Smiles, Fun Fitness, health promotion, my job is the one that kind of helps organize those. I started in September, so I probably have not met a lot of you yet in person, but I do hope to have the opportunity to meet you guys here in the future as we kind of get out and about, and hopefully do some in-person events as the weather gets nicer. With that, I would love to kind of pass it to our clinical directors, which I think we have all three of you guys on. So if you guys want to just do a quick introduction to yourselves, so the group kind of knows who you guys are.
Sure, maybe I'll start off. So I'm so pleased to be here. I'm sad we can't be in person, like I'm sure some of us are, but I hope many of us will maybe see you athletes this summer, and look forward to looking in some ears in person at that time. But my name is Carrie Witherell. So I work at the University of Minnesota and am an audiologist over there, and have been a clinical director here for Special Olympics of Minnesota for about 7 years or so.
Hi, I'm Shay Fagry. I'm also an audiologist at the U of M, and I've been a clinical director for about 4 or 5 years now, I'd say. And I'm so happy to see all your faces today, and I can't wait till we can get together in person, hopefully in June.
And good afternoon. I'm Eric McCabe. I'm also an audiologist, but I'm not at the University of Minnesota. I'm at one of the hearing aid manufacturers. I think I've been a director for somewhere between 4 and 7 years, maybe the same length as Carrie, maybe the same length as Shay. I don't remember, but I'm so happy to be here with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to get you guys out and about at an event I'll mention that hopefully our next Healthy Hearing event, in-person event, will be at our summer games in June. So if you guys will be around, come out and meet our clinical directors. And I also want to have us introduce a couple of University of Minnesota students who will actually be helping today. So if Maddie and Randy, if you guys want to quickly introduce yourselves as well.
Yeah, I can go first. I'm Maddie Osborne. I'm a second-year audiology student at the University of Minnesota, and I'm really excited to be here.
I'm Randy. I'm also a second-year audiology student. And yeah, I'm excited that we were able to do something today. Good to see everybody.
Awesome, thank you. And then last but not least, you guys probably all know Nell. Nell is actually one of our athletes and our athlete leaders. She's going to be kind of helping us out today with some questions and hopefully sharing some insight of kind of what she's gone through with Healthy Hearing. So Nell, if you just want to quickly introduce yourself and say hi.
Sure. I'm Nell Concordi. I am a program assistant for Special Olympics, a Special Olympic athlete, and a health messenger, which allows me to help with this type of things.
Awesome, thanks, Nell. And then just a quick couple housekeeping things. As we go along, please make sure you stay on mute the whole time so we don't have any background noise. If you do have any questions or comments, again, feel free to use that chat as we go along. At the end of the presentation, we'll kind of open up for questions. So we'll have the opportunity to answer any questions you guys have in as we kind of get towards the end of it. But with that, just another quick reminder again for you guys for signing up and joining us today. You will be entered into a drawing to win a home Minnesota Wild jersey. So after today, I'm taking attendance and I will pick a lucky winner and reach out to you next week if you're the winner of the Wild jersey. So now with that, I'm going to pass it over to Maddie and Randy, who are going to do some of the education. Our presentation today is kind of split up into a couple sections. We'll do education. We'll do a quick assessment. We'll follow up by some advice, and then we'll open up for questions at the end. But with that, I'll pass it over to the two of you to take over.
All righty. So like Jeff said, today we're going to be talking about how to keep your hearing healthy, looking out for signs of hearing loss and what the signs of hearing concerns may be.
All right, so first things first, what exactly is hearing loss? So hearing loss can mean that it's harder to hear, or it can mean not being able to hear at all. So some people may think that hearing is all or nothing. So either you can hear or you can't hear at all, but there are actually lots of different types of hearing loss.
So when does hearing loss happen? Some people are born with hearing loss, but hearing loss can actually happen throughout your life. Hearing loss can happen suddenly where you just wake up one day and you can't hear as well as you used to, or it can happen gradually over time and slowly kind of get worse as you get older.
And how long does hearing loss last? So this can be very different for different people. Sometimes you can have pain in your ears or be sick, and that can be more of a temporary hearing loss. So you might get some treatment or help from your doctor, and then your hearing will get better. But sometimes it can last for a very long time or even forever.
So what causes hearing loss? Hearing loss can be caused by many different things, but some of the things linked to hearing loss include earwax. Now, having earwax is completely normal and natural. Everybody has earwax, so it's nothing to be grossed out about. But sometimes our ears can make a bit too much wax and get too full, which can make it harder to hear.
And then another reason you can experience hearing loss is an ear infection. So if you've ever had one of these before, you know it does not feel very good. It's painful, it's kind of hot, and it's very full of pressure. And so an ear infection is just a bunch of fluid and infection that hangs out in your ear. And those two things combined just make it a lot harder for sounds to get through the ear, to get to where they need to go all the way up in the brain. Another thing that can cause hearing loss is fluid being inside your ears.
So like Maddie said, when we were talking about ear infections, this can be caused by fluid behind our eardrums. So when that fluid is present, your eardrum can't move the way that it's supposed to. And so that causes sounds to become softer and less clear. Um, this may also happen like if you go swimming and you get fluid in your ear canal and some water gets trapped in your ear.
And then one of the other reasons you can have a temporary hearing loss is allergies. So at those times of the year when we all get allergies, you may just have some pressure in your ears or even a buildup of fluid like Randy just mentioned. And all of these things can cause a temporary hearing loss or concern.
A burst in your eardrum or a hole in your eardrum is another thing that can cause that hearing loss. So this can happen sometimes if you've had a lot of different ear infections, the pressure behind your eardrum, or if you are hearing like a really, really loud sound, like say an explosion, it can sometimes cause your eardrum to burst. But it can also happen if you put things in your ears that don't belong there, like Q-tips. We never, never, never want to put Q-tips in our ears because it's so easy for them to accidentally be put in too far, and that can cause damage to our ears.
And another cause of hearing loss is damage from very loud noises. So if you ever go to a concert or you listen to really loud music, then once you leave the concert or stop listening to that music, you could have some temporary hearing loss or damage to your ears. What this might mean is maybe you hear some ringing in your ears, or it may sound like things are really stuffed up and sounds are a little bit muffled.
Finally, hearing loss can happen naturally just as you get older. So if you think about it, you've been using your ears for a very long time. And just like your parents or grandparents talk about their backs or their knees going out with age, so do our ears. So this can happen just because of all of the damage we've done to our ears throughout our lives, like listening to loud music, getting sick, and it usually will happen gradually. So you might not notice a hearing loss until you see your doctor or a family member kind of mentions that they think you struggle to hear them.
All right, so now we're going to talk about some signs of hearing loss. So how do you know if you're not hearing as well as you used to be?
One sign is that you have hearing loss, that you may not be able to hear people clearly when you are talking to them. If you're talking with your friends, family, coaches, and other people, but you seem to not be able to hear them, or you keep missing words, or you feel like you have to ask them to talk louder or repeat themselves more so than other people are doing, this may be a sign that you have a hearing loss.
And then one of the other things that goes with what Randy just mentioned is not being able to hear very clearly if there's noise in the background. Now, all of us, even if our hearing is normal, definitely have trouble hearing a noise. I'm sure you have all had the experience where you're in a room and there are tons of people talking. And so you have a really hard time hearing the one person you're trying to talk to. That's normal. But if you notice that you're trying even harder than you usually do, that may be a sign that you have some hearing problems.
Another sign could be the ability to hear sounds but not understand the words clearly. So sometimes when we have a hearing loss, it may seem that sounds are loud enough, but they still aren't clear. So it may sound like people are mumbling. One test that we will do when we're checking your ears, if you come in and see us, is that we'll actually have you listen to a list of words and repeat back what you're hearing. So this way we can see just how clearly you can hear. One of those words may be like cat, but if we say cat and you hear bat, then in that case, you may have a hearing loss.
So also, if you're just having trouble hearing your coaches or teammates, as we all know, there's tons of stuff going on when you're playing sports. If you're outside, sometimes there's environmental noise like traffic that may be loud, or if you're inside in a gym, there could be lots of other noise and people cheering for you. But if you're having extra trouble hearing your coaches or teammates in any of these settings, it may be a sign that it's time to test your hearing.
Another sign that you may have hearing loss is needing to turn up the volume on the TV or music very, very loud in order to hear it. Now, we never recommend turning up the volume super loud anyways, because like we said, that can kind of cause hearing loss in itself. But if you normally watch TV at, say, volume 5, and suddenly you need to turn it all the way up to 10 in order to hear it, that may be a sign that something is wrong.
And then another sign is if you just feel tired a lot. So lots of us normally feel tired, and this doesn't always mean you have a hearing problem. But if you're consistently tired, it could mean that you're spending so much energy throughout the day trying to hear other people that by the end of the day, you're just exhausted. Or maybe you're trying to talk to people, but you're feeling left out because it's really hard for you to hear them and be involved in the conversation. And that could also make you feel really tired. So if you're more tired than usual because you're straining to hear others and you're feeling left out, that could also be a sign to test your hearing.
Also, if you have that earache or drainage from your ears. So if you have an ear infection, pain in your ears, you notice fluid coming out of your ears, this may be a sign that something is going on. When our ears are working how they're supposed to, they should not be hurting or causing any sort of pain. So if your ears are doing that, then that's something we want to get checked out by your doctor.
Mhm. And so another sign is noise in your ears, like ringing or buzzing. So every once in a while, you may hear some ringing or buzzing in your ears, and that can be normal. But if the noise is really consistent, or it's bothering you, or it makes it really hard for you to concentrate, then this is something we should check out.
Also, if you're feeling like you are spinning, so the ear helps you to hear, but another thing your ear does is help you with your balance. So if you feel really dizzy and like you're spinning, or you feel nauseous, but you were not spinning around in circles at all a few seconds earlier, there may be something going on with your ears.
And then if you suddenly have any trouble hearing in one or both of your ears, with all the signs that we just talked about, where it's really hard to hear in noise, it's hard to hear your coaches and teammates, your parents, friends in one or both of your ears, that's a good sign to get tested.
Yes, so like Maddie said, if you're having any of these signs, like trouble hearing, understanding, having pain, we want you to tell somebody right away. You can tell a parent, coach, teammate, or just somebody else that you trust that can help you set up that doctor's appointment. We want you to do this as soon as you notice something, because the longer we wait off, the harder it could be to kind of prevent further damage. And we want to get your ears back to being healthy as soon as possible.
Awesome. I'll just jump in here really quick. If any of you do have issues trying to find somewhere to go to get your hearing checked, you can always reach out to Special Olympics Minnesota, and we'll be happy to help you try to find somewhere that's close and that's going to work for you. So.
Okay, so there are lots of different treatments for hearing loss, and we're going to go over some of those.
So sometimes a hearing loss is only temporary and will get better on its own, even if we don't treat it. However, this is not always the case, so it's still important to reach out to a doctor for their advice.
So a treatment that you might need is medicine. So if your doctor determines that you have an ear infection and it's not just earwax or something else, then sometimes medicine is needed to be able to get rid of the infection so that the swelling goes down, the pain goes away, and the fluid can drain like it's supposed to.
If your hearing loss is due to a lot of that earwax being stuck in your ears, then you may need to see your doctor to have your ears cleaned out. And they may recommend that you start cleaning your ears at home. So this is something that you can usually do just by putting some drops in your ears, such as Debrox, which is just one of those name brands. These drops will actually soften up that earwax and make it easier to clean out on your own.
So going back to what Randy mentioned earlier, one thing that never helps is Q-tips. So this is really important to remember. Over and over, we hear people say, I use Q-tips to clean my ears, and we say, stop using them. If you have any wax in your ear and you push Q-tips into them, the Q-tips are actually too big for your ear, so they can push that earwax even further back and cause even more pain or irritation. So if you ever need your ears cleaned out because of earwax, go to the doctor and get a treatment, but don't use Q-tips or just insert anything in your ears at all.
However, for some people with hearing loss, their hearing does not improve with any sort of medicine or cleaning out their ears. That hearing loss will actually be there for the rest of their lives. In this case, the doctor will usually give you a device to help you hear better.
And one of these devices is hearing aids. So you guys may even know someone that uses hearing aids. The job of a hearing aid is to help someone with hearing loss hear better and more clearly. So hearing aids are not one size fit all. There are different brands, different sizes, different powers, and it really depends upon what your hearing looks like to determine which type of hearing aids you need. Sometimes you may need a big one, other people may need a small one, but their purpose is to make sounds more clear and more audible, which means that you can turn up the volume to a level where you can hear well. And the most common type of hearing aid is this one seen in the picture, where they go around the top and back of your ear.
All right, thank you, both of you. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything that Maddie and Randy talked about, feel free to throw it in the chat at any time. Like I said, at the end, we'll go over some questions. We'll have them, if you want clarification or anything like that, they'll be able to do that. So, so again, feel free to throw that in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do that little self-assessment that I mentioned. It's, again, if you were on the screening this morning, it's not as long. I believe in total, it's about 13 questions. So pretty quick. How we will do it is, in a second, I'm going to open up a poll, and you're going to get a box that appears on your screen that has the questions listed in there. We're going to go through each question one at a time. We're going to answer the questions at the same time. So as we go along, please stay with the group. At the end, we'll submit all the questions together at the same time. So again, the good thing about these questions are, one, to help you just get a better understanding of your hearing health. And then again, if there's any concerns, we can make sure our clinical directors are aware of that. So that means, now hopefully this will work. We had some issues this morning getting it to work for people. So I'm going to try it. So fingers crossed. Now, do people see a box that shows up on their screen that says Healthy Hearing Questionnaire? Again, if you don't get it, that's fine. What I'll do after the presentation, I will send out the questions out to everybody. So if you have issues getting it to work as we go through it, feel free to send it into after the presentation. So, but with that, if Maddie and Randy, if you guys are comfortable doing the questions, I'll let you guys kind of lead, and I'll monitor the poll and the chats as we go along.
All righty, so question number 1, how old are you? So go ahead and click on the one that corresponds to your age. So it looks like the first one is 5 to 10 years old, the second one 11 to 18, third 19 to 30, fourth 31 to 50, or that last one there, over 51 years old.
And then once you finish question 1, question number 2 is asking, are you an athlete? Are you a unified partner? Are you a coach? Are you a clinical director or volunteer? Or are you a parent or family member?
All right, and question number 3, do you have trouble hearing? So you can go ahead and click either yes, no, or not sure.
Hey, Noah, did you have a quick question about the poll?
I don't see the questions on my screen at all.
Okay.
There's-
So don't worry about it right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, afterwards, I'll send the questions out to everybody. So I know we had issues this morning where it didn't want to work for everybody. But we'll get a sense.
Okay.
You gotta love technology. It only works half the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so for those of you who are seeing all the questions, we're now on question 4. So if you said yes, that you are having trouble hearing with question 3, you're now going to answer, was it a sudden hearing loss? So did it just happen one morning where all of a sudden it's harder for you to hear or you can't hear anything at all? Then you would say yes. If it's not, you would say no or not sure if you're not sure.
All right. And then question number 5, have you ever had a hearing test? So for some people, this might just be like a hearing screening where, you had the little headphones put over your ears and you had to raise your hand if you heard the sound. Otherwise, you might have actually gone into a doctor's office and kind of done that same sort of testing where you get put in a big booth. So have you ever had a hearing test? Either yes, no, or don't remember.
All right, and then once you've done question 5, you're now going to answer question 6. What were the results of the hearing test? So no hearing loss. They found that you could hear perfectly well. Hearing loss, or you're just not sure. You don't remember.
And for question number 7, if you have hearing loss, so if you did go to the doctor and they told you, yes, you have hearing loss, do you wear hearing aids? So again, that was like the little hearing aid that went over your ear, in your ear, that'll make sounds louder for you to be able to hear them. So no hearing loss. So go ahead and choose that one if you had your hearing tested or you didn't, but you don't have any hearing loss. Otherwise, yes, I wear hearing aids. Yes, I wore hearing aids, but not now. Or yes, I have hearing loss, but I've never worn hearing aids.
Okay, then question 8 is just asking, do you have any pain in your ears? So yes, you're feeling some pain. There's maybe a little pressure or it's, sensitive when you touch it, or no, you don't have any, or you're just not really sure.
And for this one, if you can see the poll, question 8 was that, do you have pain in your ears? 9 and 10 are asking specifically about your left and your right ear. So you'll see that on your poll. And what I'll do at the end of this, I know some of you said you aren't seeing it, you're only seeing the first question. After we get through this first round, I will reopen the poll and we'll see if it works better the second time around for people. So.
All right. Question number 9, do you have a draining ear? Pus or blood? So that's kind of like if you feel like, there's stuff draining out of it, if you notice it ever like on your pillow, if you turn your head or kind of like crusties on the outside of your ear. So go ahead and say either yes, you had drainage, no, or you are not sure.
And then question 12 is, did you ever have ear surgery? So if you did have it, you'll say yes. If not, no. And if you just don't know, or someone would have to tell you, you can just put down, I don't remember.
And for the last question here, question 13, did you learn something today? It sounds like there was other presentations going on, so maybe you learned something from them too, but either yes, you learned something, no, or maybe.
All right, perfect. So like I said, I'll give just another minute for the people that are on the poll right now to finish it. And then what we'll do, one cool thing we can do with these polls is after this, I can show some of the results. We can kind of get an idea of what people answered. And then, like I said, I'll reopen it really quick. So if you want to try it again, if you already answered it, please don't do it twice. All right, let's do this. Now I'm going to share the results. So hopefully you can see this on your screen. So it kind of gives us an idea of what people answered for each question. So I'm not too worried about how old everybody is, but it looks like most people are between the ages of 31 and 50. Most of you are athletes. And if we have hearing loss, 64% said, no, you don't have any trouble hearing, which is good. If you do you have sudden hearing loss? 85% said no. Have you ever had a hearing test? That's good to see that 86% of you have had a hearing test. Results of the hearing test, majority of you said no hearing loss. If you have a hearing loss, do you wear hearing aids? So it looks like about 14% of you say you do wearing the hearing aids. 7, you do wore hearing aids, but not now. And then 14% say you have hearing loss, but don't wear hearing aids. Do we have any pain in our ears? 71% said no. That's good. Left ear, majority said no, 69%. 69% said no pain in the right ear as well. Do we have any draining ears? 92% said no. Did you ever have ear surgery? So 50%, 54% said no. 38% of you did say yes. And I love to see that. 85% of you said you learned something new today. So that's great to see. Awesome. So what I'll do now is I'm going to reopen the poll again. So if people that didn't have the opportunity to get it to work, we'll try it again and see if it works. Do you want to? Actually, I don't want to do that. Sorry about that. Because I'll get rid of all the data that we just had. So instead of that, I'll just resend it out afterwards. So everybody, if you didn't get to work, I'll send you the questions. If you want to just fill it out, send it back to me. We'll do it that way because I don't want to lose all the information we just had. But thank you guys for that. Hopefully that went a little smoother than the one this morning for those that were there. I do want to open up a couple of quick questions that I saw that popped up while we're in there. So if Maddie and Randy, if you guys are okay with that. Sure didn't want. Looks like there was a question about their hearing aid. It seems to beep, and they can hear themselves when it gets loud. I don't know if that sounds like more of a technical question. I don't know if you guys might know the answer to that one. That might be something we have to take offline.
Yeah, so I think I'm not sure if this was the one Karen talking about maybe needing help with an invention, or if it's equipment of your
Sounds
own.
like a hearing aid specific question.
Yeah, would you feel comfortable sharing more, Karen, or asking over the microphone? If not, that's perfectly fine too. I would say that if you're asking, we're probably not engineers or, scientists in the way that we would be able to help folks with inventions or devices. But certainly if you have hearing aids and they're kind of randomly beeping or providing you, signals of some sort that you're not sure what they are, I would certainly encourage you to contact or call your audiologist or your clinic and go in and get them checked out.
Perfect. And I see that, Karen, I think you answered the one about the tubes in the hearing surgery. So thank you for that. And I do see one more. It said from Willie, do you believe that cotton swabs might damage your eardrum?
Yes. So cotton swabs are those same things as Q-tips. So we just really don't want you putting anything foreign in your ears unless it's a hearing aid that your doctor has given you. That's about it.
Perfect. All right. So we'll move on. We'll move on to some healthy hearing advice. So I believe that's again you, Maddie and Randy, again for this one. So I'll pass it back over to you guys.
Yep. So one thing that's really important to remember is to have your ears checked by a medical doctor for earwax, either every year, or if you're someone that wears hearing aids or you have a lot of excess earwax, maybe more than once a year. So if you ever start feeling like it's getting pretty plugged up in your ear, or you think it just may be time to get them cleaned, it's always good to just go to your doctor.
Another way to keep your hearing healthy is to actually have regular checkups with your ears. So even if you think that your ears are hearing okay, depending on your age, there actually is going to be like a time difference between our visits. So we always want you to stop by and visit us, even if you don't think you have any problems, just because sometimes you don't really know. So if you are younger than 18, we want you to have your hearing tested like every 3 years. If you are between 18 and 50, which I believe based on our poll, that's about everybody here, we would want to see you like every 5 years just to make sure that your ears are still doing good, or if we need to make any sort of adjustments or, treatments to help your ears out. And then finally, if you are over 50, then we want to see you every 3 years again to keep monitoring your hearing.
And then, so the only difference is if you are someone who wears hearing aids, then we think it's really good for you to get your hearing checked every year by an audiologist or an ENT specialist, just to make sure that there are no changes that may affect your hearing.
All right. So again, if there are any specific questions that you guys have for any of our clinical directors or Maddie or Randy, again, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I know Nell, I believe you had a couple of questions ready. If you want to throw a question out for our experts.
Trying to think what they were. I know one was, at what type of loud events should you wear ear protections?
Yeah. So, like, when should you wear that hearing protection? So, we recommend you wearing ear protection whenever you're around loud noises. So, that might be like if you're going to a loud concert, if you're mowing the lawn, if you're hunting, watching fireworks, anything like that, where you're around really, really loud noises. Those loud noises can cause damage to your ears. So, you always want to make sure that you're wearing hearing protection. This might be like those little orange earplugs you kind of like squish up and put in your ears. Otherwise, it might be like those big headphone looking earmuffs too. So either one would be a great way to kind of keep your ears hearing healthy, and block out some of those extra loud sounds that can hurt your ears.
Awesome. We did have another question come in regard to those recommendations that were on the slides. Is that for kind of the general population, or were those recommendations specific for like someone that was special needs like Down syndrome? I can pull them up again here really quick.
Yeah, so I think that kind of depends, Karen, on whether or not you currently have hearing loss. Down syndrome and hearing loss sometimes go pretty hand in hand. But if you've been tested before and as of right now, your hearing is totally fine, we would want to see you kind of like that every 5 years unless specified else, or, unless your doctor has told you otherwise. But if you do have hearing loss, that's usually something then that we'll want to see you like every 6 months or every year, just kind of depending on what your doctor has told you.
Awesome, thank you. Perfect. And hopefully that answered the question. Okay, thank you. Does someone have a list of network for doctors? Yeah, so Ellen, that is something that we can kind of help pull for you. I think a lot of it will depend on kind of where you are located in Minnesota. So that's something that afterwards I can follow up with you and we can kind of figure out what's gonna be best based on where you live and kind of what you're looking for. So I think my contact information might be on a later slide, but either way, I'll follow up with you afterwards and we'll chat about where we can make sure we kind of find some providers for you. Let's we have another question. I have hearing aids that are Bluetooth. What is the volume if I went to movies and it is too loud? So I guess what's a good recommendation for the volume level if you do have those Bluetooth headphones?
So it's really what's comfortable for you. And so a lot of hearing aids will have either a manual volume, as you probably know, but if yours is Bluetooth, it's probably digital. So you might actually have a program on your phone and you could always turn the volume down if it's too loud or pull it up. And some of the fancy hearing aids may even have a setting for movies or television like that. And so it will automatically adjust for what's appropriate for your ear. But your hearing aids are really smart in that they will never make it too loud that it will further hurt your hearing. So they're always going to make sure it's an okay level for you to hear.
Awesome. I know another question, I think, and there's another question Nell had, I guess it kind of goes around, probably around with that kind of the Q-tip situation. What do you guys kind of recommend as the best way to clean our ears?
Yeah, so like we said, definitely not Q-tips or cotton swabs or anything that you're putting into your ears. Overall, our ears do a really good job of cleaning themselves. But if you wanted to clean the outside of your ears, you could always gently use a washcloth while you're either in the shower or right afterwards and just kind of swipe around your ears, but just making sure to never insert anything into the ear canal. So if you want to get that earwax cleaned out, it's always good to either use the drops that can help soften them or just go to the doctor. But just never use Q-tips or insert anything because it won't actually be helping to clean and it may actually cause more problems.
Looks like we have a couple more questions. So if they do go to a concert or some type of event, kind of what is the right volume? I don't know if that, Willie, if you can kind of clarify, are you thinking of like kind of like decibel level or kind of how do they know if it's going to be too loud and they might need, whether it's earplugs or whatever it might be to help protect their ears?
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking at your question in itself, Willie, I mean, if it's not too loud and not too noisy, you might not necessarily need any sort of hearing protection. I know some kind of like if you're in church or gospel wise, and it's at a pretty moderate level, like you don't have to kind of block your ears off at all, or it's not like painful for you to listen to it, you would probably be fine just kind of sitting there without using any sort of hearing protection. But when it gets to that level where, you feel like you kind of want to block your ears off or kind of step away, anything like that, where it kind of hurts almost in order to listen to it, we would want you to wear hearing protection then. And so that can be like going to those super loud concerts where, everybody's yelling and screaming and the speakers are way too loud and you can almost like feel it in your chest. That's the kind of situation where we would want you to have that hearing protection with you.
Awesome. Another question. So if someone knows they need hearing aids but can't afford them, kind of recommendations, if there's some resources that they might be able to take advantage of. Obviously, that might be something that we can hopefully try to help figure out on our end, where to be able to kind of help with that. But if you guys have any thoughts on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, we could always try to find some resources, but it's always good to just reach out to the audiologist that's closest to you too, or even just your general doctor, because they're going to know about some of these resources too, and they can help you out, maybe connect you with a program that can help with the cost, or just give you all of the options. So it's always good to just reach out to them.
Awesome. Noise canceling headphones. Any good recommendations, brands that you guys like?
I think I have the Bose ones that go like fully over your ears. Those are great because then if you are in a noisy environment and it's noise canceling, you don't need to turn it up louder to go even above that outside noise. So yes, noise canceling headphones are great. I have the Bose. They're good. They're expensive though, so you might not need to spend that much to kind of get a good product. Otherwise, right now, like I'm wearing AirPods. Those also have a bit of that noise canceling in there, which is great. They've worked good for me, but I think every kind of just based off of what you like. Yeah, Bose is too expensive, need cheaper. They are expensive, absolutely. So I don't know any other ones, unfortunately. That's all I've had. But yeah, I'm sure there's some good pages out there on like Google that can help you out with that too.
I think Sennheiser comes to mind for me as well. Usually has some good options, but I don't know, Eric or Shay, if you have other comments too about noise canceling headphones.
Sure. Sennheiser, unfortunately, is quite expensive as well, so I'm not sure if I would look at that brand. One brand that I have found that has worked pretty well is called Anker, Anker, and I can put that name in the chat. They make a lot of different devices and everything from like charging cables for your phones and everything. And I have a pretty good set of noise canceling headphones from Anker. I think they were $50 or $60, so considerably less expensive than the Bose ones. I was just looking for something cheap for work, and they might not cancel quite as much noise, but they work pretty well. It's a much cheaper brand generally. But they've been very good, not cheap in the sense of junky.
Awesome. This is great. Again, keep the questions coming. Love to see a lot of questions. You guys are a lot more talkative. So again, feel free. One question I do have for the group, I do want to throw it out there. If you've ever been to a healthy hearing screening in person, would love to hear what you liked, what you would like to see from the healthy hearing screenings. So if you have any thoughts, please throw it in the chat so we kind of know what you guys think. If you've never done it, let us know. I don't know if people are already done talking. Might be over it. So never been to one. I haven't. Wonderful helpers. Ooh. Oh yeah, I think, was that the last full one you guys probably did, 2019? Full screening?
We definitely were probably there, yeah.
Yeah, the last one I remember doing was at
Was that the crazy St. Thomas one?
no, there was one at Breck right before COVID, went everywhere. Because it was, I want to say, February, and there was already discussions amongst a few of us of what things are going to change possibly coming up, and thinking it was going to last for a few weeks, and here we are years later.
Awesome. So I do see a couple kind of come in, and I think it looks like the lines must got backed up a little bit. Looks like some new equipment, so it makes things go a little smoother. Yeah, line's always too long. That's good for me to know as I start planning, so I can make the line smaller for everybody. Happy to do that. All right, awesome. Let's see, perfect. Love healthy hearing screens. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for that. Again, if we'll kind of keep going, but if you have questions or anything pops up, just again, keep throwing them in the chat. We're kind of almost done. So again, next step. So if you guys are interested, like I said, if you do have any specific questions or anything like that, or you want to have more of a one-on-one conversation with the clinical director, whoever it may be, feel free to reach out to me directly. There's my email listed on the screen. I was also in the email I sent out as a reminder. So again, feel free to reach out to me directly. I will either try to make sure we can kind of connect you with the resources you need or get your question answered. And one thing that, again, along with that, what we'll do after this as well, since hopefully a good portion of you had the poll that got it to work, we'll be able to look at some of that information. If there are any urgent issues that pop up in regards to your hearing health, we'll reach out to you and let you know and make sure to connect you if you need help finding resources and things like that. So those are kind of the next steps. With that, some additional resources that I did want to just kind of share and make sure you guys are aware of. Disability Hub Minnesota. They were going to be at our poly hockey event. Unfortunately, as a lot of you probably know, poly hockey had to be canceled. But they are a great resource in Minnesota that can help answer questions, help navigate, define community resources. If you have specific health insurance questions or benefit questions, they're going to be a great resource. So again, their contact information is below. I'll be happy to share these slides with anybody afterwards as well. So if you need this information, don't worry about trying to write it down quickly. But they are a great resource that's available to people in our state. So along with that, we do have a Family Health Forum and Leadership University Summit upcoming. It's going to be Saturday, February 19th at BREC. It's going to be a free single day in-person course that's going to cover topics in regards to healthy living, healthy living and balance for athletes, families, health and leadership. I'll talk a little bit about what Healthy Athletes is, and just really kind of how you can be an advocate for your health. It's going to be a great event with the goal of it being in person. If it's not in person, they'll do a virtual option as well. But if you are interested, you can go to specialolympicsminnesota.org to get more information, or you can email Lindsay, and her email's on the bottom of the slide as well. So that's another cool event upcoming. Fit 5 pledge. So again, Fit 5 is just a great way for you to take steps to stay healthy. And it includes making a pledge that you're going to exercise 5 days a week, eat 5 fruits and veggies a day, drink 5 bottles of water a day as well. It's a great way for you to get your friends. If you're part of a team, get the team involved. And one thing that they're doing at the end of the season for everybody that signs the pledge, they're going to pick 3 participants that's going to receive an at-home fitness kit, which is going to include like a yoga mat, a stretch band, and a pair of dumbbells, which is kind of cool. So again, the link is on the bottom to pledge. It's a very confusing link, so I will send the slides out so you don't have to write that down. But again, it's nothing you can kind of take advantage of and stay healthy. So with that, our next in-person healthy hearing screening. So hopefully the plan and the hope is to host a healthy hearing screening at our summer games in June. It's looking like the weekend of the 25th. So if you want to come meet Carrie, Eric, and Shay in person and be like, hey, I saw you on my computer screen. It's finally nice to see you in person. Hopefully we'll see you out there. You'll have the opportunity to go through a full in-person hearing screening, hopefully with shorter lines. But it's just gonna be a ton of education, resources, and we'll have some different prizes available for that event as well. So fingers crossed, everything will work out well. We'll have some fun in-person events upcoming in the future. So with that, I think I saw a couple of questions kind of pop in before we go. Oh, I think Carrie already answered that one. You're on top of it. Awesome. So Natalie, for any health related questions, including the university leadership course, you don't have to include me in the email. Like I said, my colleague Lindsay's email is on that slide. So if you want to reach out to her directly, especially for like the leadership course, she's the one that's organizing that. If you do have any health questions, you can always reach out to me. If I can't answer it, I'll find someone that will, but happy to help any way I can.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, for the leadership thing, really interested, but I cannot do it in person because of the virus. So
that's no problem. And yeah, if you want to send me an email, I'll reach out to Lindsay, who's planning it. I believe they might be doing some type of virtual option if people can't make it, or at least be able to give you some information of how you can still take advantage of it if you can't make it.
Yep, I'll forward you the email.
Perfect. Awesome.
Include you in it. Great,
Perfect.
thanks.
Yeah, well, again, we're kind of at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to stick around, put them in the chat. I'll stick around for a couple minutes if people want to chat, but otherwise you're welcome to leave. Appreciate everybody for joining. Hopefully you got something out of it. And hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday. it's actually sunny and a little warm. So again, thank you, everybody, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
All right, thanks, everyone.